Hey everybody, welcome to a Friday of Parental Confidential. Really excited for the guest this week. Draymond Green needs no introduction, 3-time NBA champ, amazing dad to 2 beautiful children. I'm really excited for him to join, and we will see. Hold on one second. But I'm excited because I think it's amazing to see him with his pictures with his kids, and he's really done a good job of bringing them along on the journey. So, going to add him as soon as he. But for those of you that have not tuned in previous weeks, basically I sit down with parents, talk to them about raising their kids, the challenges, the joys, the obstacles, all that. It's really cool to see the varying ways that people raise their kids, and just, I don't know, like the way that they bring them up is so important. I think today after we sign off, of course my dogs are barking. I think today after we sign off, maybe I'll take some fan questions or some fan comments or something like that. So I'm gonna wait for Draymond to sign on and go from there. Hold on one second. Make sure.
Are you on?
But anyway, so basically we'll talk to Draymond today. We had Jamie Foxx on a couple weeks ago. We had on Holly Robinson Pete, which was an amazing time. She talked about just her family during quarantine and, you know, the ups and downs, her daughter's graduating, and it's always been tough on that end when you have somebody that's graduating from high school or college. I'm gonna. All right, here he is. And connecting. And connecting. All right, hey.
What up?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
You know, Groundhog's Day, same shit, different day, you know?
Absolutely. Same thing here. Waking up, work out, spend time with the family, do it all over again the next day.
How you been though? You been all right during this quarantine?
I've been great, honestly. I've gotten a chance to spend time with my family that, I'll probably never get again, for this length of time. You're talking now, 2 months, 2.5 months. And just being able to see my kids' routine, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, like that's something that we normally don't get to see. So it's been a great time for me, honestly.
You know, it's really interesting because I was looking at the schedule, and this is the first time that you've really had time probably at home for more than a certain period of time, because you guys have just been in the finals 5 straight years. You've been grinding. You know, mentally as an athlete, you can be home but still be focused on the series coming up and things like that. So what has that been like? I mean, to be able to solely focus on your kids and not have to think about, waking up the next day or scouting reports or whatever.
Honestly, that's been great. It's not that we're never home, because, we do get time at home, but you're at home and, like you said, you're watching film. You're preparing for this game. You're on this call, you're on that call. And so now you have a call, but, that call may last an hour and a half out the day, and you're home the entire day.
Yeah.
An hour and a half out the day, and you're only home for essentially 5 or 6 hours. That's a different story. And so, that's been great. And then also, when you start talking finals and all that stuff, even, the preparation during the finals is even different than the preparation for the first round. So each round, as each round you go, it gets more and more intense. And you kind of become more and more unplugged from your everyday life, whether that's your kids, your spouse, your mom, dad, whoever it is, they all end up taking a back seat to the finals. And so it's been good not to have to worry about that, not to have that stress every day. You wake up on a game day, it's just stressful, because you're thinking all day about what you need to do to be great for that game. So it's been a obviously a gift and a curse. We missed the game, missed playing the game, but at the same time, you know, we're filling that void with some much needed family time for me.
You know, Draymond, when I was thinking about the perfect person to come on here, because I've tried to bring on. Cheers to you, by the way. What you drinking?
Cheers.
What you drinking?
Tequila.
Okay.
I love tequila.
Think that's later, so I'm gonna start off with the red wine.
Absolutely.
But as I was thinking, I was like, I really want to have you on here because it's been fun for me to see you as a parent and you with your kids. And I think the happiest in terms of I saw you was at your Jersey retirement at Michigan State with your kids there, your fiance there, your family, and just to be able to bring your kids along on this journey, you has got to be unbelievable.
It's definitely unbelievable. You know, when I look at it, obviously the journey is great, and for them to see, you know, the accolades and all of that stuff. But just as much as I enjoy them seeing the accolades, I enjoy them waking up in the morning and they get up at, you know, during this quarantine 9:30, and I'm working for the next 2 hours once they get up. I also enjoy them seeing that part of it as well. You know, I think growing up as a kid in the inner city, my goal was to always just to make sure that my kids never lived the life I lived. Now, in saying that, growing up in Saginaw, you know, it shaped some things about you. And so, you know, with those things that it shaped about me, I try to give that to my kids without them growing up in Saginaw. You know, and it's obviously not going to be the exact same because
probably not.
When you grow up with those hardships, it shape you differently, you know, but I try to give them some of those things while making sure that they never experience to have to go to sleep hungry or their water getting cut off or their lights getting cut off. And so that's always a balance that I'm trying to find. But nonetheless, you know, when you start talking accolades and getting my jersey retired, like for my kids to walk in and see like my name going up into the rafters, they don't quite understand it, but there'll be a day will come when they look and they say, oh, like I remember going to that. And, you know, I even look at it from a different standpoint for my son because him and I share the same name. And so I always tell him essentially like, hey, that's your name right there. Or like my name's on the weight room. Like, yo, that's your name right there. But I'm also looking forward to the day where I can tell him that ain't your name and get yours up there.
Give my name back. You gotta earn your name.
Absolutely.
With the Warriors, the thing that I always marvel at has been y'all's culture. Honestly, like y'all's culture has been something that is second to none. I mean, when you look across the board and you see how selfless you guys are, how much you guys share the ball, the locker room seems amazing just in turn. And now, mind you, I understand. I've been on a team. Every team has issues. Don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. But I thought it was incredible the way that how selfless you guys are. And it seems that has carried over to even at home, just in terms of bringing that culture from on the floor to being able to carry it out and be better off the floor because of that.
You know, I always tell people, like, there's so many things that you learn in basketball that you can just apply to your everyday life. That, you know, I try to take several different things from that and apply it to my everyday life because the fact of the matter is, at home is also a team game. You know, and so if I can take what I've learned about being a part of a team my entire life, and then in my opinion, being a part of one of the greatest teams of all times, if I can take all the things that I learned to be a part of that team, it not only helps me be a better teammate, but it also better suits me to be a leader of this team as well. You know, and so that's one thing that I've really picked up on. Then obviously, you know, when you speak of, you know, our character and all of those things about the Warriors, I think, you know, when you look at who the leader of our team is, I am definitely the vocal leader. I don't think that's a surprise. But the leader of our team is Steph. You know, and Steph he's extremely selfless. You know, it's never about what can I do for Steph or how Steph feels or can I get this shot for Steph. Now, obviously, yes, he's going to shoot the ball. But his worry is always everyone else, and it's never me. And when your leader is like that, everyone else, you have to fall in line. And so I think not only did it shape our team, but it shaped the entire organization because that's who we're all following. That's the face of this thing. That's, you know, our leader. That's who we're all looking to. When things go wrong, Like, what we trying to do? We trying to get Steph a shot. We trying to get the ball in Steph's hand. He carries that on the floor, but he also carries that off the floor as well. And I think, you know, he's one of the best examples I've had, but also one of the best examples for all of us. You know, he lives by a certain standard. And that's, you know, that's a great thing to get people to follow.
It's funny to see. I love when we feel almost a part of a team. And for 5 years, I mean, I wasn't a Warriors fan. I'm not gonna lie. I was a Chicago Bulls fan, and I still am. I rep Chicago till I die, even though they're terrible. But I think the Warriors, you became America's team because of the way, the culture, the way you guys played, family atmosphere. My daughter's father played for the Celtics, and I know what it's like to be on that team where family is welcome at the practice facility. Family's welcome to travel, you know, obviously to a point, but family is welcome. Like Doc really welcomed that. And so from now, I have friends from that Celtics team, wives and kids that my daughter still plays with the Garnett kids and the Pierce kids and all that stuff. And so it's really a family atmosphere. That's what you guys have. You guys brought them along. But with that, you know, they're watching in the good and they're watching in the bad. So with that being said, rumor has it, Riley Curry came up to you and was like, so did y'all lose? Are y'all losing again? And you had to let her know, like, yeah, we're going to kind of get better. But the kids, I've noticed, my daughter will point out when I am wrong in a heartbeat. How have your kids, are they at that age right now where they're noticing? Because they've been only winners up until this.
Absolutely. It's so crazy. You know, the first day I walked in the kids' room, and Riley's in there, and my daughter's in there, my son's in there, Ryan. And I walk in, and they're like, hey, we lost. And I'm like, yeah, we lost. Well, why did we lose? And I'm like, well, you know, they outplayed us tonight. They scored more points, but we're going to get better. And they're just like, but why did we lose? Like, they could not understand why we had lost. And so I'm trying to tell them. And then the losses start to pile up. And now I walk into the kids' room, and Riley just kind of give me a side. I like, we lost again. We lost again. I'm like, yeah, we're going to get better. Like, it's coming. But the fact of the matter is, none of these kids, Steph's kids, my kids, I mean, go back to Sean Livingston, who's now retired, Andre, they've never seen us lose. Like, they've only been on the top and seen us win. And so I always say, like, sometimes Warriors fans get a little spoiled. You know, after so many years of struggling, they'll start, like, coming up just like, yo, how we lose? And I'm like, yo, we done won 3 championships in 5 years. Y'all ain't never seen that. Like, how can you come at us like that? I think they tend to get a little spoiled at times, but it's cool. I respect it because that means we're doing something great. But our kids, I think our kids are worse. Like, they can't understand for the life of them why we lose a game. It's crazy. So that's true. Riley definitely came up to me like,
no, Riley's like, nah, we don't do that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My brother played for Cleveland the year that LeBron was trying to make his decision, and then the year after he left and went to Miami. So his son used to wake up and ask him every day, did we win, Daddy? And Anthony used to be like, no, Julian, we didn't win. Like, we're not probably going to win tomorrow or the next game. We're just not going to win. Like, kids are ruthless, for sure.
Listen, they are definitely ruthless. You want to know the truth, go to a kid. They're going to tell you.
And they don't care who you are, what you do for them. It doesn't matter.
And they don't mean no harm by it, but they're going to tell you the truth. I know exactly how your brother was feeling. It's like, hey, man, we ain't winning today. We're not winning tomorrow either. Don't think, like last year when we would lose, I'd tell you, like, it's okay, we'll win the next one. And we win in the next one. I can't tell you that this year. We may not win tomorrow or the next day. But there are better days ahead. They're just not tomorrow.
Yeah, y'all reloading for sure. But to add to that, Draymond, like, the thing I love and what parenthood has taught me, I remember, and I'll tell this story until I'm blue in the face. My daughter was playing a board game with her cousin, and she lost. And she started crying, and I was like, Layla, see, we don't cry when we lose. Like, we just try harder the next time. And she's like, but you did. And in my head, I'm thinking, but it's different because we was going to the playoffs and, like, all this stuff. She was like, no, but you did. I remember I rubbed your back. And I was like, word, like, you're right. It's true. So admire you and commend you because I remember sitting there watching, and I was in studio when I was watching your interview about how you basically were like, I have to change who I am because my kids are watching me in every, not who you are, but you have to change your antics a little bit because your kids are watching you. Like you said, your son was dunking on a Nerf hoop, shooting jump shots and then falling over, flapping because he's watching the NBA. And so kids are consistently and constantly watching you work hard and receive trophies, but also some of the, other habits that we had.
Absolutely. Our kids, they're sponges, and they're taking in everything, good, bad, and different. They're taking all of that in. And so one thing that I noticed, like you said, I'm watching him, he like shooting like, oh, fall, like, Daddy, help me up. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, oh, shoot it again, fall, Daddy, help me up. And I'm like, bro, you can't be flopping. Like, you gotta stop watching the NBA. I know everybody flop, but you gotta stop. And then like, he like just take off. Like I've had times where like a call happened and I just take off running the other way down the court. Like I noticed like he was watching TV and like the whistle blew and he took off running. And I'm like, oh, like I have to work on that. Now obviously we all in every facet of life, it's not just basketball, we all have habits, and so obviously it takes a while to break those habits, but that's definitely something that I'm conscious and aware of and just constantly working on every day because I want to make sure I'm setting the right example for not only him, but also for all the other kids that's watching as fans, and they look up to us. I want to make sure I'm setting that right example. But having my kids so into the game of basketball has really taught me how to try to be a better role model for other kids as well.
But honestly, I think that's the line that we kind of walk because I'm a very emotional player. And so when I stop showing emotion, I'm not myself. So it's just the way to show it. It's a correct way where, you're being a role model and things like that, but you don't want to take away from what your personality is because that's your role. That's your personality and that's what makes you who you are. And so it's a fine line between, being quiet and being silent and actually playing your game in a respectful way.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously as your kids get older, we can explain that more then. But right now they're 5 and 3. And so kind of just trying to show them the right thing. But, one thing for me is I know I always have to have that fire no matter what. Like that's like I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't play with fire. So I'm never going to lose that. Or people say like, why'd you get a tech? Or, you got this fine. You got to stop getting fines. And I'm like, well, it didn't put me, $100 million to the good. Like, I think I could spend a little money to continue to go that right direction and not quite tailor it back. Like, it's worked out for me. And that's how I look at it. I remember Richard Jefferson, who I think RJ was with us my first and second year. Maybe just my first year, RJ was with us. And RJ I got a few texts and I'm like, I'm stressed out. Like, yo, I'm not making enough money to be watching 2,500, 3,500 leave from my check. Like I'm sick when that check come in and I see that league fines. I'm sick about it. And RJ told me, he said, Draymond, listen, stop worrying about techs. It'll make you a lot more money than it's going to cost you. So stop worrying about it and be who you are. If you stop being who you are, the league not going to want you anyway. So just be who you are and don't worry about those fines. And so, I really took that to heart and I try not to worry about it and just play my game and bring that fire and that passion. And, I've had times where it spilled over, but for the most part, it's worked pretty well.
It's worked out pretty, shoot, y'all should have 5 of 5 champions, honestly. So if we're talking about 3 in 5 years, 5 straight finals, it's worked out I'd say it's worked out pretty well.
Absolutely. And a couple breaks here and there, and we may have more than 3, but that's the game. That's how it works out. But I think we've had one of, if not the best 5-year runs in league history. I can't complain about that at all. Like I think it's worked pretty well, and it ain't done working. You
guys are reloading. Like I said, y'all are like silent assassins right now, just sitting there taking your breaths and all that stuff. But I'll ask you this before I let you go. One of the pictures or slash videos that I loved watching was after you guys lost in Houston and Steph didn't have a very good game and you have your arm around him walking out. And just in terms of the next game, he comes back and he kills. I mean, and y'all were both yelling at each other like, kick me out the gym again. And it seems like you're that teammate that, yes, you're going to be loud and be that bully on the court, but off the court, you seem like you're a great communicator in terms of you want to have people's backs and things like that. Where was that always who you were? Was that something that you established when you got to Golden State? What was that transition like?
I think for the most part, that's kind of always who I've been in my life. I've always been a person that, in grade school, I would get in trouble and I mean young grade school, elementary, like I would give somebody my last dollar. And like, I was the biggest kid around and like would fight anybody. Like I wasn't getting bullied to give someone my last dollar. I would just give somebody my last dollar because A, I always felt like I'll find another dollar. Like I'll somehow get another dollar, but B, they can use it more than me, and I'm gonna enjoy them having it more so than I'm going to enjoy having that dollar. So you take it. Like that's just how I've always been. Like I've always loved helping people and being there for people. And then when it started to really show itself in basketball, when I got to college, like I've always kind of had some natural leadership ability or leadership qualities, I would say. And you get around the right people and they really tap into those qualities and enhance them. And so when I went to college and played with Coach Izzo, and Travis Walton was the leader of our team, and got to know Mo Cleese back then and how he was a leader and learning leadership from him. And the one thing I noticed and the one thing Coach Izzo told me was, Draymond, you have great leadership qualities. You have to build relationships with people off the floor and learn that person in order to be the best leader that you can possibly be, because you can't lead everyone the same. Mm-hmm. And so essentially, if you get to know that person off the floor, you then learn what buttons to push for that person. Like, how do you get that person going? Is that a guy that you need to yell at? Is that a guy that you need to pull to the side and talk to? How, like, you figure all of those things out. And so that was one thing that I really learned from Coach Izzo that I really took to heart, and I still try to do those things today. And then obviously you end up building relationships. And so, with Steph and I, like, basketball is great. We've done great things together. That'll be my brother for the rest of my life. Like, one of my best friends, and that will never change for the rest of my life. And so it's a little different with Steph, but in saying that, with any guy that I play with, if I'm going to lead that team, I have to get to know you outside of
as a person.
Absolutely. Outside of the hardwood, I have to know you, and I'm going to invest into you, and I'm going to invest into your life. And if you need something off the floor, I'm going to be right there. If you need something on the floor, I'm going to be right there. But when you're doing that, you build a trust amongst guys that once you build that trust, I know you're going to be there on the defensive rotation because you were there for me when my life felt like it was in the shambles 2 months ago, and so I don't have to even look over my head to know if I throw it like that, Clay, you over there in the corner, because when I thought I was down and out, you was the first person to call me,
Yeah.
And I think those things go a long way, and that's something that I really embody, that our entire team really embody. We're there for each other, and when we have bad games, it's no better time to be there for someone than when they're down, and help them get back to the top. And so that's how I view it.
Well, I must say, Draymond, I appreciate you taking this time. And also, it's just been fun for me, like, as a fan, as a player, as an analyst, as all that, to watch your team, watch you as a human being, just watch your happiness. You seem like you're extremely happy, you have a beautiful family, and championships. I mean, that's amazing, man. And you're a good dude. Like, you could tell that you've evolved, and you admit when you're wrong, and you move forward, and you try to get better. And that's all you can ask for. So it's been fun for me to see from the outside. Cheers to you. I won't take up more of your time. I know it's Friday.
Cheers to you.
Right.
As you know, I've been a fan since you was winning dunk contests and stuff in high school.
Lord. We ain't gonna say the year though. We gonna say the year.
Big fan. So I appreciate you having me on. And cheers is always a pleasure.
All right, cheers, man. Take care, okay?
Okay, you too.
All right, bye.